Well, good evening. So, today is the evening of February 27th, 2024. Obviously, it's a Tuesday. Yesterday, Monday, February 26th, I spent a good chunk of time at the Statehouse. And for some reason, I thought that I had stated in previous recent videos the reason why I would be there, but I just had a look, and apparently not. So I'm probably going to have to backtrack a little before getting to the meat and potatoes of this video. See, um, long, long time ago, I want to say a good 6+ years ago, I won't bore you with the details as to why I came to this assumption, but I had, upon some advice and some assumption, I guess on my part, I should say, uh, I had come to the belief that, see, how do I put this? Uh, I would be completely fine with saying certain kinds of things on the internet. Now, I, of course, have always been a free speech advocate, as it were, and I had always just said what I felt, more or less, but I figured that I was probably a little bit safer with this assumption that I made because I thought Idaho had what's called anti-SLAPP laws. Now, what is anti-SLAPP? Well, I'll get into that in a little bit, but anti and SLAPP, well, SLAPP is an acronym meaning Strategic Lawsuit Against Public Participation. It's the kind of thing that if somebody's suing you and it's a crap lawsuit, it shouldn't have been brought. Well, you can say that, or early on in the process, you can say, at least most of the time anyway, you say, hey, this is a crap lawsuit. This shouldn't be brought. Uh, I want the other side to say, show cause or whatever the heck the term is, and see if the judge agrees that, if, hey, yeah, this person is just trying to keep you down, just trying to make the process, the punishment, instead of like legitimately bringing the action. So, um, I thought Idaho had this. An embarrassing amount of time goes by until I want to say beginning of fall, maybe a little longer, last year, where I was informed not. Now, Idaho does not have such a law. And then I immediately thought of all the times I kind of ran my mouth on the internet. I'm like, oh crap, I'm in immediate danger because not because I said the things, but because the things I said might make somebody butthurt enough, and it's not the only time I'll be using that phrase this video. Somebody's going to be butthurt enough to actually try to ruin me in the courts, even though I might be completely in the right. And pretty much everything that I don't imagine anything that I would have said on Twitter that would have not been in the right, you know. So I started thinking like, oh crap. I hope nobody realizes before before we can get some anti-SLAPP going through. And the person that's apparently going to be running some anti-SLAPP legislation was one Senator Brian Lenny. And so I figured, okay, you know what? He's already a good dude. He's already a solid conservative. Despite being from out of state, he's definitely pushing a lot more Idahoan ideas and legislation in the state house. So you know what? Cool. All right, there's a way out of this, but now I've got to serve two interests here. I gotta self-serve, I gotta serve my own interests here. Like, I gotta get this through before something happens. And then also, bigger picture, I also need the same for everyone else because, unfortunately, I can think of at least a few times, probably more if I came right, if I started really thinking about it, times where either friends or just people close or closer to me, where they were absolutely sued for something that they should have absolutely been able to say no problem. And you know what? That's the bigger goal is that we definitely need anti-SLAPP legislation. Now, I originally thought of trying to bring party support behind anti-SLAPP, but you know what? There's probably a lot of lefty people that are also going to be involved in this and might be put off if the Republican Party got behind it. So I declined pushing for that, which ended up being a good thing if you go and back and see the complete footage from the hearing yesterday that I went to. It's up on the Digital Media Archive and on legislature.idaho.gov. You can find it in there if you know what you're looking for. Um, yeah, so heard okay, Brian Lenny is gonna be doing anti-SLAPP. So okay, you know what? I'm all in on this. I got multiple reasons to be all in on this. Let's go. And so I tried finding him at the winter meeting. Turns out he wasn't going to be at the winter meeting, but whatever. So I showed up. But I let people know. I did eventually get in contact with Senator Lenny and let him know my intentions and whatnot. And I showed up for the print hearing, and that's a hearing in which you don't get to like debate or testify for legislation. You just simply get to, you just get to see a senator or a representative, depending on where you are, introduce the bill, and then sometime later, and this is often a lot of time later, there might be a hearing on the bill. And so I waited quite a while. I was starting to get worried, and then finally I got a time and date in which to show up and testify for the bill, which ended up having a bill number, Senate Bill 1325. Okay, fine. Okay, you know what? Let's go. So I wrote some things that I thought might help at least it somewhat intimate what my situation at least would be regarding anti-SLAPP without going too far. And I made the decision to not mention the real root of why I might be afraid because I do happen to be aware of a certain thing that what have you. And so I came up with just about 2 minutes of stuff to say before a Senate committee. Now, I also decided to wear the orange jacket. Now, for those of you who are not aware, the big personality, not really, but the loud personality that I sometimes am on Twitter. I am Orange Jacket Guy at Boise 1932. That's me on Twitter, right? So I decided to show up in the orange jacket because of two things. One, because of the Twitter angle on this, because most of the legal threats that I've had in my adult life have been either through or about Twitter. Anyway, so not only that, but there's another thing that started happening in the last couple of years where legislator friends who know know my real name and such, and know who I am, when I would show up at the Statehouse or just at some official Republican Party thing, they would say, "Oh yeah, you're the orange jacket guy." Now, I am definitely not miffed or anything about this. not even really all that surprised, but you know what? Okay, you know, if that's the actual phrase that people are thinking in their heads about, to identify me, well then, well then, I should absolutely show up in the orange jacket. Now, long time ago, when I came up with the orange jacket guy personality, mostly for tailgating and for going to football games, and I made the conscious effort to try to at least detach that personality from any political stuff, any politics. Well, that kind of worked its way in anyway, but also anti-SLAPP is supposed to be beyond politics anyway, and I've said that quite a few times and in different places. And everyone agrees, yeah, something like anti-SLAPP should absolutely be detached from the politics of whatever somebody might get slapped for. So, I show up. And then, because I like blocked that out that entire day, I just show up to the State House in the morning, eat a little bit of breakfast, but I end up eating a cinnamon roll in the Senate cafeteria. And then I ate some lunch, because, I'm feeling kind of nervous. I need some food. But you know what? Okay, cool. I'm ready. I'm there in the orange jacket. People have kind of been noticing me anyway. In fact, one state constitutional officer that saw me and immediately turned away like, oh crap. Yeah, I know you did that role, and you know what? It's completely fine. I would have done that too. But so yeah, I'm there in the orange jacket. I show up at the right time, right place, and then I'm sitting down there in the committee room there, and funny thing happens. I see a bunch of people that are politically close to me, for one reason or another. They start sitting like far away from me. I'm like, oh well, I move over to sit near them, and oh yeah, this is where the cool kids are sitting, right? I think that's the joke I made. So we had that the committee meeting of the day, and took a little bit of time to actually get to the bill because that's not the only bit of business that they had that day, of course. I mean, this far into the session, of course, it's you're not going to have a single meeting on a single bill, or really even single topic even. So they take a lot of time with talking with the presenter of the bill, Brian Lenny, and then another person from entity I'm forgetting, but a lawyer in Illinois who helped write the bill and is helping push it through. So I spent a lot of time with her, and then a few other witnesses and whatnot, and then they get to me. So if this will work right, I'm not entirely sure it will. I'm gonna bring this over, and I'm gonna play and pause what I'm saying in this. So I'm gonna take a lot more than 2 minutes on this. I've probably already taken a lot more time. I've already taken about 13 minutes just blabbing and running my mouth. So we're gonna start this little video right here.
Okay. Next, I have Matthew Jensen. Mr. Jensen, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record, and nice jacket, by the way.
It is now an official opinion of the Idaho Senate that I have a nice jacket. No, not really.
And then go ahead and proceed.
Mr. Chairman, Senators, my fellow Idahoans, my name is Matthew K. Jensen, resident of District 17 and lifelong Idahoan. Okay, now I'm in the middle of introducing myself, but you notice a couple things right here. This guy, I don't know who he is. I thought he was a certain other person, but no. And the reason why I know he wasn't that other person because that person ended up testifying later. But this guy kept eyeing me the whole time, both both before, during, and after. So don't know who he is. Don't know what his issue was. But yeah, I'll continue. But oh yeah, also notice the angle See, there's two. There's an aisle right here. Let's see if I can. Oh, the cursor doesn't show up. But yeah, there's a. Oh, well then that means you don't know who I was pointing at. Let's see if I can. You know what? Never mind. Um, there's the gentleman right in front of the page, Senate page in the back with the red vest. The person that the dude staring at his phone right in front of that Senate page. That's the dude I was just talking about, by the way. But anyway, I'm just gonna continue.
However, I am also the more commonly known contradictory personality on Twitter, Orange Jacket Guy, i.e. not a lawyer. My Twitter bio reads, BSU superfan and commenter, proclaimed by Adafruit's Lamore Freed as the best Matt Jensen.
Okay, that one's going to need some explaining, because I have explained it a couple times on Twitter, but there's some people that follow me that aren't necessarily all that familiar. So I want to say it was not long after I lost my last call center job. Um, I was looking to participate in this thing that Adafruit does. Adafruit's like this hobbyist electronics outfit out in New York, and they're an online store. They're run by one Filterone and Lamore Freed. Those are the people running it. They're good people. They do this weekly web show where they invite on a bunch of people and say, "Oh, this is the hobbyist electronics thing I was doing." I forgot exactly what I presented that time, but I think I've gone through been on that thing 3 times. So, but one of the times that they were having me on, they were having trouble locating the Google Plus handle or whatever that I was using at the time. Oh yeah, by the way, they were using for that show. They were using Google Plus at the time. They hated it. But anyway, oh, I'm gonna take my coat off here. So yeah, so they were trying to look for me, and there's like Matthew Jensen is apparently a very common name. So they're trying to look through pages and pages of Matthew Jensen's in there. They finally found it, and she commented, "Oh yeah, that's the best Matt Jensen." And so I've just run with that ever since. Lamore Freed of Adafruit is the says that I'm the best Matt Jensen, and so that's what that is there for.
Authority and political tomfoolery, technically an IDGOP officer, and then I was fucked.
Okay, here's the reason why I say I'm technically an IDGOP officer. It's because a lot of the legislative district committees, they're considered more of a state party entity rather than a local party entity, and I technically do have an officer position in that committee. So I say technically I'm an IDGOP officer because yeah, I'll just stop there. But yeah, that's why I say that. It's technically true, but it's very misleading mentioning it like that. I say that only for fun.
This is me and my.
Oh yeah, that's right. I I have on my profile my pronouns listed as me and my. I still get people mad at me for doing that. And there's one time this purple-haired person out of, I think it was Tennessee, she she thought I was being literal with me and my, and so she was trying to address me with those pronouns, and it was just hilarious. I ended up breaking the news to her, and she said a lot of very unkind things to me, and then blocked me. Anyway, I'm continuing.
While staying within lawful and ethical bounds on that platform, I have, however, been threatened with legal action upwards of 60 times since my account creation back in mid-December 2007.
Yeah, um, that's not an exaggerated number. In fact, it's a very underplayed number. uh, I remember the day that I made my Twitter account. Now, Twitter is very different. I was still a student at Boise State at the time. But yeah, Twitter was very different back then. I thought it was going to be something closer to MySpace, which I still had a profile of that at the time too. But yeah, it was mid-December of 2007. I've had an account longer than 99% of the account holders on Twitter. Or it's called X now. Whatever. I'm going to dead name it. Whatever, Elon.
And yes, for everyone's information,
Mm-hmm.
I've been on that platform a lot longer than anyone in this building. At least 42 of those legal threats were from people either known or alleged to have been.
See, I'm actually referencing something from almost 10 years ago when I say that. But I'm saying it in a way that is, I'm trying to trigger a person. I might still end up doing that with that. Like, he might say that, but my suit wasn't even against Matthew Jensen. Because, this person, he does not like me. He's sued a couple of people who are politically close to me. And that was definitely a SLAPP lawsuit. Now, you might be able to guess who those people are. I've given you enough details to figure out who those people are and who I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm looking to trigger and troll a very specific person with a very specific thing. I'm mentioning something from a lot a lot longer ago, but I want to see if he picks up on that and gets mad, because that would just be hilarious if he did. But anyway, but yeah, that alleged to be in Idaho thing is referencing a real thing. It's just not what everybody's probably thinking.
In the state of Idaho. In case it's unclear exactly why I'm mentioning this,
Mm-hmm.
it is because I was definitely not saying anything that should ever rise to the level of legal action being necessary, and yet, because I'm a little...
Okay, now you might think that I'm being a little bit self-serving or being very one-sided on something when I say nothing I said rose to the level of legal action. Um, I would challenge you to find something that indicates otherwise. See, I rarely actually ever delete tweets, and so you probably won't find something that evidence of something I deleted simply because I rarely do it. Now, there are some things from about 2015 that, yes, I did delete. You might be able to figure out the reason for that, but you can already, I mean, if you already see getting anywhere close to what those things were, you can already see why those things aren't relevant to what I'm talking about, like right up there. It's, yeah. Anyway, but yeah, my entire Twitter history is out there for everyone to see. I mean, Twitter search is a thing. I dare you to find something that would even get close to being able to get sued over. So yeah, I'm actually pretty confident in that. But anyway, uh, you know, I, I think I'll back up a little bit just so that the whole phrase.
Legal action being necessary, and yet, because I'm a little loud on that platform, people felt the need to extend such a threat anyway. While nobody has yet gone as far as to make the process the punishment for me.
And that's a phrase I try hammering a bit, because it's a nice alliteration, when the process is the punishment, because that's literally what you're doing when you're trying to bring a civil frivolous lawsuit towards somebody, is that you are making the process the punishment. You're not necessarily making whatever the court might do the punishment, even though you might actually win. But you are definitely trying to make the process the punishment when you're trying to drag them through a lawsuit. Making them defend themselves properly. That's a whole drain on time and resources and all that. But I mentioned that a little bit. I'm gonna back up just a sec here.
Make the process the punishment for me. It is only a matter of time. It is a matter of time before somebody is dumb enough or butthurt enough to actually do it.
You might notice, I'm not sure if you can hear, but right behind me, right at about where that black border is sitting the sponsor of the bill, one Senator Lundy. And I didn't notice who it was when it happened, but he would later DM me to say, yeah, that was me laughing when you said butthurt. And here's the thing. You'll see later, the chairman does not admonish me on this at all. I got to use the word butthurt in a Senate testimony. And due to his silence, the chair probably agreed that, yeah, it's only a matter of time before somebody butthurt enough to, does it. Anyway, I'll continue.
Especially with what I've seen in hashtag IDPOL in recent years. Our citizen part-time legislature can do something about it before it becomes a problem for myself or a whole lot of other people, because I know I am not the only one.
And yeah, of course, I am definitely not the only one to be threatened with legal action. In fact, such threats have been followed through on people, and it ruins some people. There are some others that it didn't necessarily ruin, but that's not for lack of trying. Anyway, back up a few seconds here.
I know I am not the only one. As it's probably already mentioned, the process is often the punishment made against someone who has offended or otherwise angered another online. The process is the punishment when an innocent person is saddled with the drains on their time and resources just to defend themselves in court.
It's an access to justice issue, at least that's what I heard a lawyer say a few times. And I would love to be proven wrong like that. Like, I'd love for somebody to defend that, saying, defending the practice of uh, bringing a slap suit against somebody. I'd love to hear somebody defend. Yeah, we're making a bunch of unnecessary drains on somebody's time and money because my feelings got hurt. I'd love for somebody to justify that.
All of our mean tweets. So please help us before the situation gets worse. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll stand for questions if any.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen.
Now, that little bit at the end where saying, if there are any questions, because usually, well, actually not usually, but sometimes when somebody testifies in the Idaho legislature, the committee members can ask you direct questions about you, and it's nominally supposed to be about the legislation at hand, or just something about the testimony that they, just gave, or something, something like that. Now, this is not to say that I was really expecting any questions, because really all I did was just say, hey, I'm a loudmouth on Twitter. People keep threatening to sue me. Somebody might hear eventually. That would be a very bad thing, and you could help the situation for myself and a bunch of other people. And that's literally all I said. There's not really a whole lot of room to start asking me questions if they're even motivated to. Maybe if I had included some details on maybe some of those threats, or maybe if I had got sued, and I could then talk about why that's not a good thing and how this bill would help. Maybe if there was something of that, maybe some of those senators would be asking me questions, but definitely not in this case here. So I just tried to end it here, and I think I do, but let's see if I can hear
Any
it.
questions for Mr. Jensen? All right, I don't see any. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I'm going to transition. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's what I was there at the Statehouse for yesterday. But I think it was time well spent, though. And not only that, but there was that particular hearing was supposed to take care of 3 different bills. and it ended up taking all the time. Like they end up going pretty much to the limit of their time before actually voting on the bill. Advancing it to the full Senate. I checked this morning, and I think it's still on second reading if memory serves or something. That's just one of the steps in the process between bill being in committee and being in full Senate. It's just one of the little tiny steps. Um, so it's still making its way, and you can see this in the archive later, but it ended up passing, which means most of the senators in the room absolutely did, vote for it. There were some naysayers, though, and they weren't naysayers I was necessarily expecting either. I don't think I'm going to elaborate on that. I do need to be getting to something, and I don't necessarily want to pause the recording because pausing into OBS is kind of iffy. I did upgrade to a version that can pause of OBS that can pause, but I never want to actually use it. So, with that, I'm going to upload this a little bit later, maybe tonight, probably. It's about 9:28 p.m. right now. So, I'm going to stop recording here. I'm going to transition to the potato with the cardboard lanterns. And, yeah, email me, involvedidahoan@icloud.com if you, recognize the tune and the reference. I call this song Cardboard Lanterns. Somebody might know where that's coming from, but either way, I don't have anything else for the rest of this video anyway, so I'm just going to cut you all loose and say blessings